You are walking through your living room. You have walked this path 1,000 times. You know every inch of the floor. But suddenly, you stumble. Your toe catches on the edge of the rug, or worse, it catches on nothing at all. You stumble forward, your heart races, and you grab the sofa just in time. You look down. There was no obstacle. There was no toy. There was no loose cable. You tell yourself, I'm just being clumsy. I need to pay more attention. But this is a lie. You were not clumsy, and paying attention would not have saved you. What you just experienced is a specific neurological glitch. In geriatric medicine, we see this as a warning shot. It is called the ghost step, and it means that the map inside your brain no longer matches the reality of the floor beneath your feet. To understand why you trip over nothing, you have to understand a sense that nobody talks about. We know sight, smell, touch, taste, and hearing, but you have a sixth sense. It is called proprioception. It is your body's ability to know exactly where it is in space without looking. Right now, you can close your eyes and touch your nose. You don't need to see your hand to know where it is. That is proprioception. But for walking, this system relies on millions of tiny sensors embedded in the soles of your feet, your ankles, and your knees. These mechanoreceptors send constant data to your brain. They say, the foot is lifted 2 inches, the ground is level, the weight is balanced. But after age 70, these sensors begin to die. Nerve conductivity slows. The signal from your foot to your brain becomes weak. It becomes fuzzy. It is like trying to download a large file on a slow internet connection. The data arrives, but with a lag. So, here is the anatomy of the ghost step. Your brain sends the command, lift foot 2 inches to clear the rug. Your leg muscles obey, but because the feedback signal is weak, they only lift the foot 1 inch. Your brain thinks the foot is safe. The ghost foot in your mind is high enough, but the real foot is too low. Crash. Your toe hits the rug. The discrepancy between the map in your head and the reality on the ground creates a catastrophic error. You are navigating the world with a broken GPS. And the tragedy is, most seniors respond to this by looking down at their feet. They stop trusting the sensors and start using their eyes. But vision is too slow, and looking down shifts your center of gravity forward, which only makes the inevitable fall much, much worse. But the feet are only part of the failure, because once you trip, you should be able to catch yourself, right? You should be able to correct the error, but you can't, because the second system, the gyroscope inside your skull, is also giving you false readings. Let's look at the inner ear and why the room feels like it is spinning even when you are standing still. Feels like it is spinning even when you are standing still. Deep inside your ear, behind the eardrum, buried in the hardest bone of your skull, sits a tiny piece of biological machinery. It is the vestibular system. It looks like a small snail shell connected to 3 loops. These 3 loops are your body's gyroscope. They correspond to the 3 dimensions of space, up and down, left and right, forward and backward. Inside these loops, there is a fluid, and lining the walls of the loops, there are microscopic hairs. When you turn your head, the fluid sloshes around the loop. It pushes against the hairs. The hairs send an electrical signal to your brain saying, "We are turning left." In a young body, this fluid is thin, like water. It moves instantly. And when you stop turning, the fluid stops instantly. The signal is perfect. But in an aging body, the chemistry changes. Due to chronic low-level dehydration and protein accumulation, the fluid inside your inner ear becomes viscous. It stops acting like water and starts acting more like honey. It becomes sluggish. Now, imagine the ghost step scenario again. You trip, your body jerks forward. Your brain desperately asks the gyroscope, which way are we falling? How fast? But the fluid is thick, it lags behind. Your body is tilting, but the signal hasn't reached the brain yet. And then the second phase of the horror happens. You manage to stop your head movement, you freeze. But because the fluid is thick and heavy, it carries momentum. It keeps moving inside the loop for a split second after you have stopped. It pushes the hairs again. Your brain receives a false signal. We are still spinning. This is vertigo. The world tilts. The floor feels like it is sliding away. You are standing still, but your navigation system tells you that you are tumbling. So you try to correct a fall that isn't happening, and in doing so, you throw yourself onto the floor. This is not a weakness. This is a calibration error caused by sludge in the hydraulic lines. The sensor in your foot lied to you, the ghost step, and now the sensor in your head has lied to you, the lag. You are now falling. Gravity has taken hold. You have exactly half a second before impact. This is the moment where your survival depends on one thing: speed. You need to throw your hands out to break the fall. But at 70 years old, your internal internet connection has been downgraded from fiber optic to dial-up. We need to talk about the reaction gap and why your hands are too slow to save your hips.
Hands are too slow to save your hips. Gravity is a constant. It pulls you down at 9.8 meters per second squared. From a standing position, it takes roughly 0.6 seconds to hit the ground. That is the time limit. If you can move your arm in 0.3 seconds, you catch yourself. You get a bruise on your wrist, you survive. But if you take 0.7 seconds, you hit your hip, you shatter. This is the reaction gap. In a young body, nerves are coated in a thick white substance called myelin. Myelin is insulation. It allows electrical signals to travel at 200 miles per hour. The moment a young person slips, the signal shoots down the arm and the hands shoot out. It is instant. It is a reflex. But as you age, the myelin sheath thins out. The insulation frays. Your nerves begin to leak signal. The speed of conduction drops by up to 40%. So when the gyroscope finally realizes you are falling and screams, "Hands out," the message travels down a slow wire. It arrives too late. You are already on the floor. And because your hands didn't break the fall, your hip takes the full force of the impact. The femur, the strongest bone in the body, snaps. A hip fracture at 80 is not like a broken arm. It is a physiological earthquake. Here is the statistic that terrified Frank in our story and should terrify you. 50% of seniors who break a hip never regain their ability to walk independently. 20 to 30% die within 12 months, not from the break itself, but from the immobility spiral. You go to the hospital, you lie in a bed for weeks, your remaining muscle dissolves, sarcopenia, your lungs fill with fluid because you aren't moving, pneumonia, blood clots form in your legs, deep vein thrombosis. The ghost step didn't just cause a bruise, it triggered a system-wide shutdown. This is why we cannot treat tripping as a joke. We cannot just say, "Be careful." You cannot be careful if your sensors are dead and your wires are slow. You need to fix the machine. You need to recalibrate. You cannot grow new myelin, and you cannot make your inner ear young again. But the brain is neuroplastic. You can force it to update the map. You can force it to trust the remaining sensors. You can retrain the pilot to fly the plane even with broken instruments. We need a protocol. 3 specific movements done every morning to reset the ghost step, clear the gyroscope, and sharpen the reflex. Let's build your survival routine.
Sharpen the reflex. We are going to perform a system reset on your balance. You don't need gym equipment. You need 5 minutes while you boil the kettle. Drill 1, the flamingo reset for the gyroscope. Stand near a kitchen counter so you can grab it if you need to. Lift 1 foot off the ground. Now, here is the secret. Close your eyes. When you close your eyes, you force your brain to stop relying on vision. It has to listen to the gyroscope and the feet. You will wobble. You might feel panicked. That wobble is good. That is your brain frantically searching for the signal. It is recalibrating the honey in your inner ear. Do this for 10 seconds on each leg, every single morning. Over a month, the wobble disappears. The gyroscope is reset. Drill 2, the tightrope walk for the ghost step. Find a straight line on your floor, a tire line, or a pattern on the rug. Walk placing 1 foot directly in front of the other, heel to toe, touching. This is not how we normally walk. It narrows your base of support. It forces the mechanoreceptors in your feet to fire precisely. It tells the brain exactly where the foot is. It erases the ghost step and replaces it with real data. 10 steps forward, 10 steps back. Drill 3, the blind reach for the reaction gap. Sit in a chair. Place a cup on the table in front of you. Look at it. Close your eyes. Reach out and try to grab the cup without knocking it over. You will miss at first. Your brain's map of where your hand is versus where the cup is will be off. Do it again and again. You are fine-tuning the GPS. You are speeding up the connection between the brain and the hand. This speed is what saves you when you slip. The conclusion: a fall is not an accident. It is the end result of a sensory system that has been allowed to drift. The ghost step is your brain lying to you about where the floor is. The slow gyroscope is your inner ear lying to you about movement. If you accept these lies, you will fall. It is mathematically inevitable. But if you challenge them, if you demand accuracy from your nervous system every morning, you can stay upright. Don't shuffle through your golden years looking at your feet. Recalibrate the machine. Trust the sensors and walk with the confidence of a pilot who knows exactly where the ground is. I am your senior doctor. Keep your balance, and I will see you in the next investigation.